to play them.
I was going to say, how dare you. Okay, but spawning in the lower left-hand corner of our map, Cloud Kingdom. I introduced him last time. It's my pleasure to introduce him once again. The Terran player from Henry of Root Gaming. It is Masa.
And I'll explain that little side giggle there to you guys in a moment. His opponent in the top right, let's hope he can kick Masa's ass, guys. His complexity is pretty down right now. It's Complexity's QXC. And we had a little debate beforehand where we were trying to decide, do we pronounce it Henry? Do we give it some flair and go Henri? You know, make it a little French-Canadian team? I don't know, but you'll hear that slip from time to time.
I thought so. I thought it was Henri. I thought it was Henri the whole time. I was calling these guys Henri before it was cool to call them Henri. Back in, I don't know, maybe this September, October. I don't know. The months have gone by so far. But the thing is that this team league has been going on for a very long time. We have seen both of these players in action before. They are two warriors of the StarCraft 2 circuit. A lot more of QXC's builds have been revealed recently. Not so many of Masa's, but we are seeing our current deviations here with the gas for QXC after his first barracks there. Well,
I gotta say, Masa, while a very good Terran player, he's not in the limelight, the spotlight rather, as you will, as QXC is. I mean, he's really been making a splash on the scene. He's got his How to Improve StarCraft commentary videos. He's been appearing on streams with DJ Wheat as prior to this game. I mean, he's really been out there and promoting the heck out of himself. And guys, if you don't know, we actually recently had a TVT show match between QXC and Beastie Cutie. You can check out the VODs on the YouTube channel. QXC knows what he's doing. And we'll see if Masa can beat him or not. And of course, let's not forget, because we're a little bit into this, shoutouts to our sponsors, Zeke TV and SixPoolGaming.com, guys. $1,000 prize pool has been provided as a joint partnership between the two groups, and I'm so glad they put this event together because rarely, if ever, will you see great matchups like this come into fruition.
Yes. Rarely will you see it happen, but we see it happening now before our eyes. And okay, factory, and it's going to be a quick command center.
It has been built a little out of position though, so I don't think any scout would really pick this up, and there's a Marine to definitely help deter that. It's also out of vision of any typical scans. I mean, not that you would want to waste a scan this early, but we have reactor, we have a factory, and I mean, Hellions are really, really good against Marines, but even better against SCVs.
This kind of feels like he's going to actually use this for Marines here. I'm not too sure what QXC is doing. He hasn't added on the second gas, but this does feel like it is going to be some sort of safe expansion, and there it is. There's the expansion drop down for QXC. So the expansion in the base for Masa is going to be transferred into an orbital command pretty safely. His two gases are now up, so he's mining plenty there to drop down either a factory. Is it going to be a factory? It should be a factory. There's the factory.
Yeah, and the scan catches as well, but I don't think he caught the command center. No, he didn't. So that position of the command center is magnificent. As QXC's probably thinking, okay, he's still one base. He's going to do something ridiculous, double gas, maybe it'll be all in, who knows. But right now, Masa does have that, I guess, advantage if QXC falls for the scan bait, if you will.
And QXC did switch it over to make the Hellion, so wrong on that one, Doom. But okay, two Hellions moving across the map, starport being crafted in the lower left-hand corner of QXC's base here. I'm curious to see what will be
these
Hellions, that.
If they poke up into the natural, they're also going to confirm that there is no base yet, but little does he know. Oh man, Masa doesn't see those Hellions, so he's got to be careful. He doesn't want to lift off too early and give this away right now. He's just pumping out SCVs, which is definitely something you want to do. Don't waste the time.
I think Masa's a little worried for some Cloak Banshees coming in. He has dropped down the engineering bay and is just now starting his siege tank production. Okay, so once that siege tank comes out, that's actually going to be pretty good to defend against the Hellion Marine composition. Well, actually just straight up Hellion composition.
These SCVs immediately canceling that bunker. Nice control. One Marine is going to be canceled to, or sorry, I guess sacrificed to the fire gods. But I mean, this ramp, this is not where you want to fight, man. So he's got his Marines all clumped up too. A couple good bursts will wipe out all those Marines.
Masa is the player that is opting to use the factory or the barracks with the reactor to pump out lots and lots of Marines here. With this first medevac moving across the field, though, QXC is going to have the opportunity to drop in the back of the base, but Masa may actually know what's going on here.
He may just catch this too. He's got a Viking coming out as well, so if it's patrolled or looking for some sort of Banshee incoming, guess what? It's going to find a medevac. And, ooh, he's going to elevate these Hellions up, and there's nothing in range to deal with this right now.
The tanks,
just the Viking.
The tank's outside the base, too.
Kill it. The Viking won't kill this medevac before it drops all the Hellions, and these SCVs are going to be in some trouble, retreating them out immediately. Nice reaction time from Masa, even leaving a couple behind for bait.
Will QXC evacuate with these?
Well, he can't really. The medevac was picked up and left. The tank's in position. The Marines are here. He will clear these Hellions for very minimal losses. He did pick off 7 workers, though, so 7 workers for 4 Hellions. Not too bad of a trade.
The follow-up for QXC is Mech Rifkin. He's added on 2 factories. He hasn't added on his 2 gases at his natural, though. Okay, just now adding those on. The Viking is going to get over here from Masa and land.
Yeah, just trying to go for some harass right now.
Cheeky move there. Ooh, it doesn't get picked off.
The follow-up for QXC definitely looks like it's leaning towards mech. He does have more factories on the field. The question is how Masa is going to respond to this, because he can go for a Bioforce. He just has to be very careful and very micro-intensive, because a couple Hellion Blasts, especially with Blue Flame, tank shells, I mean, it's just hard to break that.
It is definitely hard, but the thing is, Masa has a lot of siege tanks. No siege mode. I don't know if that was a mistake. I don't know if that was intentional.
Yeah, and with this other barracks coming down, we're going to definitely see Bio coming out of Masa. 3rd command center on the way. Only got the +1, so it doesn't have the other engineering bay and isn't starting to go overboard yet. He doesn't really have the gas for it, but again, it's basically gonna come down to mobility versus strength when it comes down to Bio versus mech. But tanks are gonna play a huge role for both these players. Everyone who's ever seen a TVT or has played a TVT knows how annoying those siege lines are to break.
Yep. But still no siege from Masa. What is okay? Now? Okay, yeah, there it is. Alright.
Just delayed. I think he needed the gas for other things. But the Hellions will poke up here, pick up a couple Marines, but they will get away actually with mostly intact.
I'm getting a little nervous. I don't really know how this is going to turn out. We have seen Masa be super effective with drops in the past. And the one thing about mech on this map is that if you're able to get a very mobile Bioforce out there, say Marine Marauder composition, you can take the mech player and put them in any position you want them to be. You can move him to the top here to defend his 3rd. You can draw him back down to the natural. You really keep them confined on 3 bases.
Poking out with a tank as a scout, it's a little more expensive than a Marine. And if not careful, okay, will not lose it, just getting back home in time. So yes, that was an expensive scout.
Just taking damage though. He can heal it up nicely and easily. No Blue Flame yet from QXC, still continuing to make Hellions though. These Hellions are going to try to run by in here, but he saw the tanks before. Just damaging Marines.
Matt's actually doing a little bit of a harass there. His Viking is going to get picked off by QXCs, but he stopped the construction of this command center, landing the Viking just to pick off that SCV.
And QXC's Viking count is kind of out of control right now. He's got 6 on the map, opposed to the 0 of Masa, and Masa is just opting to continue to make medevacs out here, and that's going to probably be the best choice for him. If he gets more Marines out, he can try to stem up and take out some Vikings, do a little damage that way, but as long as QXC has this Viking count, he's going to have the lead going forward here in the game. And 2 armories for QXC now here too. No 3rd base yet though.
Yeah, I mean, QXC is going to be starting to get a little gas dependent as the game goes further on. With these tanks in position, these Hellions aren't really going to be able to poke in, but, you know, Hellions are, whether it's Zerg, whether it's Terran, it doesn't matter, they're expendable units.
This is kind of odd to see here, because usually you expect the meching player to have the supply deficit in the matchup, but the meching player actually has a greater supply than the bio player.
Masa took a while to get all those barracks down. He's got the 3 tech labs and the 2 reactors. He will definitely start overtaking the supply lead in a bit, but all these I'm really questioning all these Vikings the QXC has out. They're going to take out this medevac so quick, and without the medevac support, you know, every time you stim, it just hurts, man.
It definitely does, but we've seen stim become kind of a tool to position your units more recently. A lot of Kesper players are using it, even like double stims of the entire army, to get up in a position where the opponent isn't. And again, bio versus mech, it's going to come down largely to positioning here. And we see a little bit of a drop with some Marines in the middle line, going to take down some SCVs.
But they will be quickly cleaned up.
Wow, really quickly cleaned up. But small little victory there. Hellions
9 workers killed for each players now, so he has evened it out a bit. And actually, both players have exactly 63 workers to their name, plus mules.
QXC's got a lot of Hellions on the field, and just loading up the drop on the right-hand side, could be met by a couple of Marauders out here in the middle of the map, so very good of Masa to be adding in Marauders into his composition.
Well, the one thing that's really important to note here for QXC is he's retained a lot of these Hellions throughout every poke, every aggression, and every scouting trip. And I mean, it might not seem like a lot, but that's 100 minerals saved here and there. That adds up. It adds up very quick, too.
Yep. And Masa just took down a drop of QXCs in the lower right-hand corner, which had 4 Hellions in it, so that's not going to get any damage done. But the thing that also adds up is the siege tank damage. Holy goodness. Look at this count now. 10 siege tanks to the 8 siege tanks. Okay, so Masa's actually staying in it with the tank count. The one thing to note is he doesn't have the upgrades. And QXC is about to finish his +1/+1 just now. Infernal pre-igniter on the way as well. And he's going to be making a 4th base here. Looking like we're going to go into a nice little macro game.
Yeah, it's not too often you see TVTs really branch out in this particular fashion, but mech versus bio, I mean, it's just a slow build. This is, I almost feel like we're watching PvP, where both players are waiting for that 200 death ball to make any move whatsoever.
That's the way to do it. I mean, if you move out a little bit prematurely with the mech against the bio army, you're caught out unsieged, you're pretty much dead. DED dead. But if QXC is very patient here, moves out very methodically, he's making sensor towers, knows that he can just expand and have the unit tech advantage, he's gonna be all right here. I'm curious to see if he's gonna want to move into any type of all air play after this, though, because he does have the huge tank count and he can set up some pretty nice lines here in defense. Yep, Masa does scan up and see the army, though, so I don't think he wants any of that right now.
Yeah, it's a really hard line to break. There's no reason to sacrifice your army to push it. If you can just contain QXC, you know, take another base, get that production up, get the bank rolling, whatever you need to do. But he is going to charge in here, and these tanks are not sieged at the moment. You will lose a couple tanks, but only 1 tank for the cost of several Marines and Marauders. Not the best trade in the world for ROOTMasa.
Yeah, I don't know if that could have been better for Masa if he had moved in with everything.
When these tanks are sieging up, the last thing you want to do is push into that.
Yeah, I mean, especially because of the Vikings, man.
And here's the key thing about these Vikings. Everyone knows siege tanks have longer range than they do vision, and you need that overhead, that air vision to snipe out your opponent's tanks. And once he takes those medevacs out, Masa's going to be forced to rely on scans, and every scan is going to cost him 250 minerals, let's not forget.
I think he might be content with that right now. Looking at the SCV counts, he's got 72 SCVs, so he's humming pretty well. He's moving this command center down to the 4th base, likely to make a planetary fortress there. And I think his whole goal strategy with this contain right here is to prevent QXC from getting his 4th up and secure his own in the process.
Yeah, very good point, Doom. The command center is coming to land, but it is in range of one of those siege tanks. So if it lands, it will start taking some fire. And these Hellions are doing a nice job zoning out the lower half of the map, so Masa not going to really be able to supply anytime soon. And
what QXC needs is this Banshee right here, Rifkin. Banshee's going to join in with the Vikings. No way to actually attack that. I don't see any Thors out here in the composition for ROOTMasa, and Masa's going to definitely be forced to back up here.
Yeah, 1 single Banshee actually doing quite a bit of damage. Whoa. And these tanks are now starting to shell on each other, and there's that range advantage I was just talking about with the air. Marines can't even push up into the Banshee, unfortunately.
There isn't really a high Marine count for Masa either. He's got a lot of supply in SCVs that could be better, you know, suited for some army at this point in time. But that Banshee is going to go down, and I'm curious to see when we're going to actually, you know, see some a ton of command centers added on for either player here. QXC is adding on his 5th command center in the main.
Oh, but look at QXC's little push here. There's a lot more tanks than there are tanks for Masa.
Yeah.
And Blue Flame Hellions, they don't do extra damage to Marauder, sure, but when you've got this many, it's just the volleys. That's all that matters.
Well, and the +2/+2 right now, Rifkin. I mean, that's making them go into beast mode. But this is War of Scans here. But look at this. This is what is so good about having the bio forces against the mech. You can find these little seams, and he's going to take down a free command center here for the price of nada. No! Is he gonna get it?
It will burn. There's no way to repair that in time. Yeah, and it goes down over top of the air. But
Okay.
now these tanks are also completely stuck. He can't retreat these, and he can't save them.
Rifkin, there's no Marines in the vicinity over here, but there is a Banshee. Okay, whoa, there's a Thor now. Okay.
And Thor will be nice. These tanks are cleaned up. So unfortunately, QXC losing quite a few tanks in the lower corner of the map. Not picking off too much with them either. So
Yeah, he lost those turrets, too.
Oh, but look at this. Massa. Okay, he does get the cue that QXC has moved out of position. Now is QXC going to go back home? Looks like he's going to go back home. He's going to have a little bit of a pincer attack going for him if he can catch Massa. Not going to happen. Just continuing moving forward now. And these Marauders, I mean, even the time it takes siege tanks to siege, it's just almost not worth it. You have to engage these units head on, which is exactly what's happening. Vikings even landing out of desperation to keep these tanks alive, and they will do just that. Now these siege tanks do have time to siege up. And we're going to see some splash damage too.
Splash damage indeed. But there is +3 almost done for QXC, and he's moved out in a spot where I don't actually think he wants to be moved out right now. The Thor is going to be able to bust up here, but QXC's army is supplying.
Tanks are going to take out this Thor Doom, and there'll be no ATR. Just a couple Marines. Marines are not a threat to tanks. Some Hellions are sort of flowing in, as it were, but I mean, it's just Hellions and there are tanks, and you don't really want to mix those two together. Meanwhile, though, QXC has taken at the top leftmost base, and I don't think Massa actually had vision of that. And one lone Hellion poking away at QXC's orbital, or sorry, command center.
Massa almost got a shot off on a ton of SCVs that were trying to transfer over to what is now QXC's 4th base. But the tank count here for Massa is at 15, which is actually equal to what QXC has. You know, on the other hand, though, QXC has just finished that +3 attack, and that's going to come to be a huge factor here.
Yeah, QXC's he's starting to struggle to find his positioning on the map. There's tanks medium everywhere he goes. He can't get this base up. Doesn't even get the cancel off of the planetary. It's just taken down.
The planetary for QXC goes down at the top, though. That wasn't supposed to happen.
Oh, but now these tanks are going to start shelling away the worker line. And there's no high ground vision. These Hellions will help protect against Marines, but there's been so many Marauders coming out of Massa. QXC's had a lot of trouble remaxing.
I really like the way he's been able to position his units in these strategic locations to try to shut down mining, though. I mean, he doesn't know, or he does actually know about this base over here, but he's not actually able to do anything about it. This line for Massa has this sensor tower, knows exactly where all the units on the left side of the map are, but the upgrades for QXC just proven to be too much here, Rifkin. Hellions killing siege tanks.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to harp on this because it's not that easy to make the switch, but I would love to see some Ravens make an entrance to the field. Marauders being the biggest threat to QXC's army, a couple point defense drones will help nullify that.
It's so hard to get your mech up, but this air is doing its job here. But oh my gosh, the tanks are going to take up the left-hand planetary, Rifkin.
And QXC does have his orbital landed down at this 5th, 6th, I guess technically like 8th base at this point. But I mean, QXC's not really mining. And that's going to be a huge problem, because it's not so much the minerals, he's not getting that extra gas that he needs. And constantly reproducing siege tanks, it's so freaking costly.
I mean, I honestly, I don't know how Massa is doing it right now. He's going into beast mode. Looking at his infrastructure, he's got a lot of barracks, he's got a lot of
both players have been losing
starports.
about the same, though, Doom. Let's not forget that. I mean, look at the supply count right now. Look at the resources lost. It's for a mech versus bio format, I'm stunned that it's so even.
Almost even in their mineral to gas ratio right now as well here.
QXC trying to secure this last base. He needs to get this up and running, because if he doesn't, he's going to be in a lot of trouble. And oh, these tanks on the high ground.
He's got no vision of the high ground either here.
There are more tanks coming from behind, though, but he doesn't want to lose. Again, these are so expensive to lose when you don't have the economy to replace them.
And Massa's got all these tanks up at the top here. I don't know if he's been rallying them over there. I don't know if he's forgot about them. I mean, it kind of feels like he's just playing with this army and just dealing with everything that QXC has with a lesser unit count here. This is kind of wild to watch.
Yeah, I mean, it's the tank versus tank. Man, it's hard to break, and QXC unfortunately found himself on the defense with this. You want to really be the one containing your opponent. I would love to see like QXC at this point just like start dropping mules on the tanks, anything to get them dead.
I don't know, he's going to need to do something here because Masa has his 4th and 5th now mining. They're both planetary fortresses. On the other hand, QXC still running out of mineral patches here at the 3rd.
And Masa, I mean, he's starting to catch up in upgrades. The longer this takes for QXC, the further ahead Masa will catch up. Or, sorry, get. And oh no, these things are not sieged. The Marines and the Marauders pushing up. And again, QXC not getting a favorable engagement whatsoever. He just can't catch a break with these pushes. Marines medium everywhere he goes, and oh no, Doom, his 3rd now under siege. Yeah, the scan confirming that there's nothing there, just some SCVs kind of chilling.
This is a tough spot for QXC. This is one of those positions as a Terran player that you feel like your back is up against the wall. You're like a rabid mongoose in the corner trying to fend your babies. And,
I know, it's like, what can you do? Because you can't attack up into this. Like,
he's making banshees. I mean,
yeah, you have to play this smart. TVT, I think, is more like chess than any other matchup.
Oh, yeah.
You have to think very methodically about every move. Every siege tank, every siege line can make or break the game.
I think Masa's just thinking more along those lines here, Rifkin. This sensor tower has been such a crucial point in this game. He's been able to know exactly when QXC's been trying to take this, and QXC actually hasn't mined any minerals from those mineral patches. And that's been so important. That's been so huge. Not having that available to you, having to try to take things like this upper left-hand corner where he's left a bunch of SCVs, it just takes you out of your rhythm, takes you out of your flow, and puts you in these awkward positions that Masa's just completely taking advantage of here. And this looks like it might be the killing blow,
storming in. Yeah, if you lose this base, that's it. No economy, no bank, nothing to work off of. There's a lone Banshee, very brave, turning around and going home. But yeah, Masa, I don't know, Doom. I thought QXC was going to take this with that mech composition, but Bio Marauders beating it out pretty hardcore.
Yeah, it's really hard to go mech on this map. It's really hard. I know from experience it's hard to go mech on this map.
Well,
but
you know, mech or not aside, though, I think the biggest catch to QXC this game is the fact that, again, he's not been the one sieged up containing his opponent. He got caught, and it's just kind of snowballed from there.
Trying to get that sensor tower down. That sensor tower is playing a big role in determining when the tanks are sieging.
But there's so many more Vikings here. Master, I don't know when he got this many Vikings, but he's got that many Vikings.
Well, he's got four starports in the main, 2 with reactors, or 1 with reactor, 2 with tech labs, but it doesn't matter. There's the GG from QXC.
Oh man, I wasn't even playing that game and I'm sweating here. Like, I can only imagine how QXC's feeling right now.
Man.